24 years ago. So it was 2001. Govind did it. It was on the occasion of the launch of the Pulsar. So whether it's India, whether it's Bajaj, or whether it's me, the association goes back almost to the beginning of CNBC. And I can tell you from my experience, I like to call it the ABCD of CNBC. A for authentic, B for balanced, C for compelling, and D for delightful. Authentic because you're probably the only channel that doesn't this nonsense about source-based information. Everything is so credible. Balanced because there's always both points of view put before your viewers. Compelling because, it is said, discipline is repeating the boring brilliantly. So sometimes it may appear to you internally that what you do is getting boring, but to us on the outside, it seems brilliant because it is so finely honed, and finally delightful because there is always an X factor in what you do. From Young Turks to Future Female Forward and everything in between, it's a delight to watch CNBC. So I've had a great 24 years with you.
All right. Thank you so much for your compliments and support, Rajiv Bajaj. Now, let me come back to the two-wheeler business. Now, with the acquisition of KTM complete and approved, how do you now plan to scale up in India and global markets?
Yeah. So first, let's take India. So in India, Parikshit, as you may be aware, for the last couple of months with KTM, we have pretty strong tailwinds, primarily due to the launch of new products, from the new Adventure to the Supermoto, most recently the Duke 160, etc. As a result of which, we have been now experiencing our highest ever retails in India. Also from India, in terms of exports, the new products are helping us to, move to the next level in terms of KTM volumes. And in fact, in that context, I must share with you that even in terms of exports to the US, which are not insignificant, we export about 10,000 KTM motorcycles every year to the US. Let me share with you something very interesting, that when confronted with the 50% tariff, Bajaj reduced the FOB price out of India to absorb most of this 50% impact. And yet we are able to export at a EBITDA that is greater than our 20% corporate EBITDA. So this is not about the power of KTM or the power of Bajaj. This is about the power of India. It is so cost competitive to manufacture out of here that really more of us should be taking this strength out, to other markets. So that's about KTM in India. As far as KTM globally is concerned, I said to you when we spoke the last time that at the heart of the turnaround globally is going to be, the concept of less being more. Less in operational terms, in the sense that KTM was brought down by this 12-month plus inventory that had piled up in its network.
Right.
So I'm happy to say that, retails are on course, that inventory is more or less depleted now, will be at the end of the year. And even strategically, it is about resetting the brand. Less is more. Get rid of the bicycle business, the car business, the smaller brands like MV Agusta, etc., and just focus on KTM Husqvarna going forward. So with this less is more approach, I feel quite confident that we are on the right path for the medium term.
How do you plan to increase your market share in ICE two-wheeler segment in India? What's going to be the game plan for 2026?
Well, when it comes to ICE two-wheelers in India, Parikshit, basically it's about motorcycles for us because we don't make ICE scooters. Within that, our focus has always been on the 125cc plus space. And as Rakesh shared with your colleagues just ago, whatever we are doing now in product and marketing terms is already yielding results. Between August and November, our share as we calculated in the 125cc plus segment, has grown by 2% already. And I think, I just told you that 2001 was the launch year of the Pulsar. So next year is the 25th year of the Pulsar. And you will see that it will be the year of the Pulsar. Already as we speak, we are rolling out the first wave of new products, which will be reaching dealerships very soon. And you will see wave after wave of new stuff coming out of the Pulsar platforms all through 2026. And since in the domestic market, Pulsar is like 2/3 of our volume, I think if the new Pulsars do well, then this is going to be the primary basis for share gain in the domestic market.
Any investments in bikes over 350cc, considering that the government has hiked the GST there?
Well, I'd like to start by saying that I certainly hope the government will reconsider what it's done. And without dwelling on it too much, clearly this action is going to marginalize motorcycles above 350cc in this market. And if that happens, then, it greatly handicaps the manufacturers from developing such motorcycles and taking them out to the world. So I sincerely hope this will be reviewed. Meanwhile, our plans continue unchanged for now, Parikshit, because I don't know how many people are aware that when it comes to, and we measure it as 250cc plus, not just 350cc plus. So in the 250cc plus segment, between our like Pulsar, Dominar, KTM and Triumph, we are neck to neck with Royal Enfield in terms of export leadership. With 4 brands across 108 countries, there is no reason for us to kind of put our plans on the back burner because of a domestic adversity. But as I said, I hope that will be relooked at. So for now, in terms of both development and investment, our plans remain unchanged.
Right. You've become #1 in electric two-wheelers as of November and for several months in this year. What next in terms of consolidating your EV position, making it even stronger in the EV space?
Well, it's been a bit of 1-2, 1-2. It's between TVS and us, really. Between the two of us, we have almost 50% share now. And some months we are ahead, and more than that in other months TVS is ahead. I think, but more important than the number game, as I've always maintained with electric vehicles, especially with the Chetak, what is important to us is the qualitative side, the learning curve. And I'm candid enough to say that both in terms of product quality and service quality, I think at least when compared to the standards that we at Bajaj are used to, I'm still not satisfied. None of us are satisfied. So our primary focus continues to be to get up that learning curve of product and service quality. In the meantime, certainly to grow the business, to take it forward, we have to do what we always do, which is new products. So in fact, we have just started, I think in the last few days, the production of our second all-new model. So this is not some variant of the existing. It's a new Chetak because we want to grow the Chetak portfolio. So that production has started. It will be dispatched to dealers soon. We are expanding our capacity here at the Akurdi plant, where we make the Chetak, from where I'm speaking with you. And of course, expanding the distribution of Chetak, because Chetak is not sold through the Bajaj motorcycle dealerships. It has its own exclusive dealers. So this is how we have to keep it moving forward. And I'm also happy to share with you, I think I've done that before, that finally most of Chetak now has not just a positive gross margin or something like that. It actually has a positive EBITDA. So we now make money on most of the Chetak that we put out.
There are players like Revolt, Ola and Ultraviolet which have already launched electric motorcycles. Royal Enfield will launch the Flying Flea electric motorcycle early next fiscal. Will Bajaj Auto be waiting any longer, or will you be unleashing a electric motorcycle offensive soon?
No, at least for the domestic market, at least for the near term, I would think that our focus will continue to be on scooters in the Chetak brand. Our vision for Chetak, is inspired by brands like Vespa or the Mini. Again, this is something I've shared with you before. We have now in the pipeline several new developments for Chetak. We see it growing into a portfolio of possibly 7 very distinct scooters. So I think we must remain focused on that, at least for the domestic market for the next few years. But yes, Rakesh did mention, I think again on CNBC, that Bajaj is working on electric cycles. This is true. We have started work, but it is primarily for the export markets.
All right. I would also like to ask you, what's holding back EV adoption right now? The PM e-Drive scheme is coming to an end in March next year. What would be your recommendation on the kind of support you expect from the government going forward?
I think in terms of penetration, let's talk first about three-wheelers, a industry where we are a global leader and a overwhelming domestic leader. You may be aware that over 60% of this industry is now already electric between the e-auto and the e-rick. And very soon it will be 70%. So in terms of EV adoption, in three-wheelers where the payback is very quick, the consumer is already moving from various fossil fuel alternatives to EV. So there the adoption has been very rapid. Certainly with two-wheelers, I think it is taking longer. I think it is a matter of both having products that are more aspirational, because we can't reduce, the motivation to purchase to just a calculation of cost of ownership or payback period. And also a greater degree of reassurance is required in the marketplace because, let's be honest, across manufacturers, we've had product and service quality issues. So I think that's made the consumer a little tentative. But beyond that, I would make this point, Parikshit, going back to, my very early days at Bajaj, that if I'm not wrong, Hero Honda, with a very, very compelling proposition of 80 kilometers a liter, fill it, shut it, forget it, which became so famous. Hero Honda started around 82, 83, and it was only by around 95 that the entire ecosystem of customers, mechanics, and people at large got comfortable with the thought of moving from two-stroke to four-stroke. And EV is an even bigger leap to take. So I think if that took 10, 12 years, then I think EV will take a similar period of time before it gets to that tipping point, which means that sometime, therefore, around 2030, we should see this tipping point emerge. That would be my conviction for penetration as far as two-wheelers is concerned.
26 years of CNBC TV18. 26 years of CNBC TV18.
Tata Motors has relaunched the Sierra and they hope the SUV will drive up volumes in the year 2026 and the fiscal year 27. Joining us right now is the Managing Director of Tata Motors, Shailesh Chandra. Mr. Chandra, give us a sense of the response to the Sierra so far, the number of inquiries you're receiving, even though the bookings and the commercial rollout is yet to begin.
Yeah, first, thanks, Parikshit, for having me on the show. The response to Sierra right from the time we released the brand film and then we had the brand days, followed by the launch event that we had on November 25th. Since then, I think the response has been overwhelming, I would say. Much more than what we were really expecting in terms of response that we would get. The inquiries have been phenomenally high. And as you know, that bookings are really going to start from 16 December. So we have to wait till then. But the extent of inquiries that we have been getting and also people booking their interest is enormously high. And we expect that when the bookings open on 16th, the numbers would be overwhelmingly high. So we are just expecting on 16th, we get a positive surprise for all of us.
All right. Could you give us a sense of the discount levels of December year-end sales and how will that impact the costs that the company will have to incur on account of discounting?
Yeah, so Parikshit, you know that December, typically it's a very high retail month. And generally the customers who buy cars in December are seeking, attractive offers ahead of the start of a new year. And therefore, typically you see as a part of seasonality that the offers are higher in the market to tap that customer who's looking for that kind of an offering. So generally the discount levels are higher as compared to the earlier months. So every OEM goes very selective about which models they would like to, top of the offer of what was ongoing in the earlier months. So similar kind of calls we would have also taken, but these are very planned VMEs, I would say, very planned well ahead of the December sales. So this will be slightly higher in select models. And we hope that therefore retail, which we are going to see in December, should be very comparable to what we were seeing in the festive period.
Right. Could you give us the range of discounts starting from the minimum to the maximum?
Very difficult. I would not have the numbers offhand. But whatever was prevailing in November, it is slight increase from that level, in select models.
All right. Is Tata Motors likely to increase prices in January? And if yes, by how much?
See, the increase in price needs to be put in the context of the GST 2.0 drop that had happened. And therefore, the baseline of prices of all the cars went down depending on the segment of the car by anywhere between 3.5% to 8.5%. And that baseline drop is something which we have to maintain in the spirit in which the government has reduced that. Having said that, there has been an increase in the commodity prices right from January 25 and we have not been able to pass on as an OEM this commodity price increase to the market. And I would say the extent of commodity price increase would have been in the zone of 1.5% to 2% of the revenue. And to some extent, we have been able to offset that with the cost reduction actions that we have been taking internally. So whatever residual part of that commodity price increase, which we have not been able to pass it on to the market for the last 1 year, is the extent to which we will consider as a price increase somewhere in Q4, maybe in Jan. That is to be decided yet. We are still reviewing that part, but the residual part of commodity increase is something which we are looking forward to take as price increase in the Q4 without disturbing anything as far as the GST 2.0 reduction is concerned.
Right. So what will be the residual amount of commodity price increase which you've not been able to absorb so far, sir? And how much is likely to be passed on as per initial estimates?
I would not like to share that number because, as I said, that it is still under review. But I have already given the extent of commodity increase as a percentage of revenue that has happened since the last price increase that we had taken somewhere early this calendar year. And that is to the extent of 1.5 to 2% of revenue.
All right. How would you describe the overall sentiment in the market right now?
Yeah, it's been very buoyant, right, since the GST 2.0, implementation from 22nd September. We have been seeing, at least in Tata Motors, I can say that the inquiries, year-on-year growth in inquiries is pretty much been seen in double digit. And to that extent, one is getting reflection in the bookings also. And you are also seeing the growth rates for the last 2 to 3 months as far as the industry is concerned, mostly double digit. So therefore, the overall mood remains very good. And so is the trend that we are seeing in December too.
What about rural versus urban sales in terms of contribution in your portfolio?
I think both are going very strong. Rural has definitely maybe slightly better than urban. So our share of rural would have definitely gone up by a percentage or so of the total sales that we do. So both in urban areas as well as rural areas, um, after the GST 2.0 implementation, the sentiment has really gone up. In rural areas, of course, because of a better monsoon and better liquidity availability, I think that is also helping drive the rural demand.
And finally, any message to CNBC TV 18 as we complete 26 years?
Yeah, I would first congratulate you all for completing 26 years. It's a very important milestone. And it is very difficult in this very competitive industry to really survive in this cutthroat competition. But you have brought news to the viewers with a high level of responsibility and with very quality content. So I'm sure that the same values is going to continue with CNBC. And congratulations once again to you all.
Thank you so much, sir, for joining us.
Thank you, Parikshit.
Thank you so much, sir. Wonderful talking to you.
Thank you.
That's all the time we have here on this broadcast. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.
"26 years of CNBC TV 18.